Hello everyone, I'm Chelsea Clemens with this week's sports. The Penn State men's lacrosse team had an outstanding performance against Drexel Saturday, sweeping the 12th ranked team 13-6. Penn State's Austin Kaut scored had a recorded 13 saves throughout the game, while key players Jack Forrester and TJ Sanders contributed 4 goals apiece. The Nittany Lions came out the second half fired up, scoring 9 of the 13 goals while dominating ground balls and faceoffs. Penn State will be taking on Towson this coming Saturday at 1 p.m. Meanwhile, the Penn State women's lacrosse team fell short to Northwestern Wildcats 11-3. The Nittany Lions couldn't find the answer to Northwestern's dominant defense. Penn State's Tatum Coffey and Kelly Lechner both tallied 1 goal for the Nittany Lions. Northwestern's Aaron Fitzgerald had a standout appearance, adding 4 goals to the Wildcats scoreboard. Penn State is now gearing up for their next game against Lehigh, home on Wednesday, April 10th at 7 p.m. The Penn State baseball team had a difficult start to the season. Friday night, the Nittany Lions hosted Wright State, looking for their first win of the season. Matt Michelone has more on the story on Game 1 of the weekend series.
I'm Matt Michelone reporting tonight from Miller Field at Bruno Park as the Penn State Nittany Lions host the Wright State Raiders in Game 1 of a 3-game weekend set. The Nittany Lions will send to the mound TJ Jan. Jan, a right-hander and redshirt sophomore, is 1-4 in the season with a 5.06 ERA. He'll be opposed by Casey Henn of the Raiders, who is with a 3.35 ERA. We'll see if the Nittany Lions can get on track after starting the year 5-19.
It was a pitcher's duel early for each team after this walk issued to Steve Snyder by Casey Henn. He managed to bounce back for 1 of his 5 strikeouts on the night. With Wright State leading 1-0 in the top half of the 8th inning, Justin Kopel, with 1 out, managed to get on base with a single to right field. Things got even worse for the Nittany Lions. With 1 out, Keyston Green stepped to the plate and would belt this single to center field, putting runners at first and second for the visitors. The Nittany Lions did manage to score 3 runs in the bottom half of the 8th inning, but Zach Al's flyout ended all offense for the Nittany Lions on the evening. Wright State would go on to score 3 more runs in the top half of the 11th for the 7-4 win.
Lineup-wise, I think I'm going to go back to where we started and grind it out with those guys. But I think the bench stepped up. Those guys in certain situations, created that rally. We need to understand that walk is a weapon, not chasing.
In 7 1/3 innings pitched for the Nittany Lions, TJ Jan gave up just 3 earned runs, and Elliot Sayre at third base went 4 for 6. The Nittany Lions will host Wright State in 2 more games before calling it a series with the Raiders. Reporting live from Medler Field at Bruno Park, I'm Matt Michelone for PSN.
Penn State continued their series against Wright State Saturday afternoon, falling yet again to the Raiders. Wright State pitcher Joey Hosel earned the win, going 7 innings with 1 earned run and 4 hits. Penn State scored their first run in the 2nd inning with an RBI from junior Alex Farkas. However, the Raiders responded the next inning with 2 more runs and won the final score of 6-2. The Nittany Lions played their final game in the series against Wright State on Sunday afternoon. Reporter Tatum Coffey has more on the story.
Tatum Coffey reporting from Medler Field at Bruno Park for Game 3 of a 3-game series between the Penn State Nittany Lions and the Wright State Raiders. The Raiders beat the Lions 7-4 in 11 innings on Friday and again on Saturday 6-2. The Lions are still looking for their first win since March 9th and will hopefully get the job done today. Penn State jumped to an early lead in the first inning with an RBI single from J.C. Coben and a 2-run single by Luis Montesino, making the score 3-0. In the top of the 2nd, the Raiders scored an unearned run, cutting the deficit to 3-1. With bases-loaded singles by Elliot Searer and Coben, the Lions' lead was increased to 5-1. In the top of the 5th inning, the Raiders took advantage of 2 errors committed by the Lions to make the lead only 5-3. This was as close to victory as the Raiders would get, as Penn State held the Raiders scoreless for the remainder of the game and scored 6 more runs, making the final score 11-3. Afterwards, Coach Robbie Wine had a few words about his team's performance.
We have a lot to prove, but I think the feeling is, okay, now we got over the hump and we're playing fun, relaxed, at least for 1 game. Have good practice tomorrow and then carry it over into Tuesday.
The Lions convincingly beat the Raiders 11-3 to end their 13-game losing streak. The Lions host Kent State on Tuesday, April 9th, and Bucknell on Wednesday, April 10th. Reporting from Medler Field at Bruno Park, I'm Tatum Coffey, PSN.
The women's softball team fell short 2-1 in their weekend series against Indiana. Nittany Lion Lauren Yao connected with a heated pitch, contributing a home run for Penn State. Cassidy Bell and Jordan Wheatley were also standout players for the Nittany Lions this weekend. Indiana's consistent performance of loading the bases ended up working in the Hoosiers' favor, allowing Indiana to rack up scored runs throughout the series. The Nittany Lions take action next on Tuesday, April 9th against the St. Francis at 6 p.m. And that does it for this week's sports. We'll be back right after the